going to try head up to Shoe and do a bit of diving. The water's not looking too clean, but hoping for a bit of visibility, try get some fish for dinner. High tide's at 3:30, so about an hour, so hopefully I can catch that incoming high tide, get a bit of viz. Just went out to Slipper with the girlfriend and had a little bit of a beach day, and we checked Slipper as well, and there was this, actually a seal there. But the viz looked about 5 metres, so I think we'll be right. I don't know how much weed line diving I'll be able to do, but hopefully we can snag some butterfish and that sort of thing for a green curry tonight. Water's looking alright. I think I'll probably be about that 5 metres, but yeah, that's a pretty cool spot, eh? Some little cave and overhanging cliff. Really cool. It's actually a like a monitoring device. It's got some electric put in it. It's taking some data. I thought it was a cray pot, but checked that last time and it was some research thing. But yeah, look at that. If you haven't checked out Coromandel, you really should. It's such an amazing place. Cool, well, I'm going to get in the water and try snag some fish for dinner. It's pretty much bang on high tide now. It's 3 o'clock now. I need about half an hour to get out. So yeah, let's get into it. Jumping in the viz wasn't that great, but more enough to deal with. And I wanted to sort of see if I could dive the deeper weed lines, as that's my preferred way of hunting. I like to find trevally and John Dory. So I took a dive down and went to look under this rock for some crayfish. And I had a school of jack mackerel come in, which is a pretty good sign, but I wasn't too happy with the viz. I didn't want to be diving deeper stuff in this viz. So I decided to go back in shallow and hunt for some snapper. Coming in shallow, there's just heaps of kinner around, so I'm just going to grab a big rock and start hacking away at them. I was pretty pleasantly surprised to see that these kinner were really fat. They had heaps of roe in them, which is really good for burleying. Sometimes you can smash kinner and they have just no roe in them and they don't work as well. I haven't quite acquired the taste for kinner, so I'm not very sensitive to smashing a couple in exchange for a snapper, hopefully. We're pretty lucky in New Zealand where kinner are in a bit of an abundance, sometimes too much. They'll sort of eat through all the weed and sort of create these kinner barrens. But I came under this rock and found a nice fat one to try feed to the friendly wrasse in the area. But the locals weren't too keen on a hand feed. I think they still thought I was very much a predator. I found this drummer after leaving the burley to sit, and he was just tucked up in this cave, which is quite a common place to find drummer. And I'm not going to let this fish pass me by because snapper absolutely love them. So I found a slot in the cave where I could shoot the fish and out the back of the cave, avoiding bending my spear. A bit of a tussle to get this fish out, but well worth the time, because I had a spot in this area that I knew would be really nice for a fish like this. so hopefully I can exchange it for a snapper. And it's pretty big, so there's going to be lots of burley to use. I started to swim to the spot, and I actually swam past a bunch of seals to my left here, but I didn't even notice them. So swimming past them with a fish was probably not the greatest idea, but I made my way to the ledge, and it's a really deep gut with lots of current on it, so I'm just going to check it before I burley it, because you never know what's already sitting in there. Fortunately, there wasn't nothing but this butterfish, so I started to burley the drummer up, just cutting it in both directions into cubes. And I like to sort of chum it up a little bit before I go place it down, to sort of speed up the process of fish finding the frame. I'm pretty happy with that burley, so I'm going to go and hunt some butterfish, as we've got green curry for dinner and butterfish is absolutely beautiful in it. I'd seen some on the way, so I went back to that spot and I was pleased to find an abundance of butterfish and some bigger models too. I like to sort of just sit here and pique their curiosity. Butterfish are very good at disappearing if they want to be, so I find it good not to chase them, just let them come to you. But I took a little bit too long looking at the butterfish, and the bigger models had sort of got disinterested and moved away. But that's no worries, I hadn't spooked them, so I'd just be a matter of going back and finding them again. I really wanted one of the bigger ones, so I was happy to spend the time to wait for one to poke his nose out of the kelp. There's about a dozen leather jackets that came off the weed line to come and see me, which is pretty cool. They're very curious fish too. Here's some nice specimens just coming out of the weed here, and this guy is big enough for me. Real nice fish, this one. This will be more than enough for our green curry tonight. With all fish, I'm straight to ickying them, and especially with butterfish, I'm going to gut them because they have very stinky bowels. I couldn't find any more bigger butterfish in this spot. I think I'd spooked them with the first fish, so I decided to move back to the original sort of spot. And that's when I found the seal sitting on the rock, and I was very happy that they were sitting on the rock and not in the water. But I wanted to try get some more butterfish to freeze for some later meals, so I found this butterfish right next to the seals, but they're out of the water, so I was happy to take this fish. And that's another nice butterfish for the bag. And a pretty sketchy shot, but there's absolutely no meat in that shot, which is good. And I had a quick check behind me just in case one of those seals jumped off the rock. And yeah, just going to icky this fish and gut it as same as the other one. And that's another curry in the bag. I went back and checked that kinnerbelly, and there wasn't really anything on it. I think it was probably a bit too shallow. Or maybe the snapper went in today. Right under the boat I found another butterfish, so I wasn't going to pass it up. I already had one butterfish in my hand and one on the back of my gun, so yeah, I was happy I was quite close to the boat to take this shot. couldn't quite deal with the fish with this butterfish in my hand, so chucked that one in the boat and then dealt with the fish I just shot. First part of the dive, and that's 3 butterfish. Not too much else going. The viz definitely isn't that great. Definitely not for diving deeper sort of stuff. So, but I'm happy with those 3 butterfish. Yeah, all good, nice eaters. And there's a couple of seals that I found on the way back, sleeping up on the rock over there. So we'll go check those out. Then I'm just going to hop in one last time to check that drum and burley for a snapper. .15-degree water, and it was 14 as well, so quite cold. Here's these seals, just having a bit of a sleep up here. Yesterday we were on a walk on the beach and we found a little pup, and this must be their sort of temporary home. Cute little things. So there's one back there as well on the rocks. Oh, there's actually 4 of them. Huh, look at that. That's really cool. Cool, we'll go check this next spot. Jumping back in, I found a bunch of kohiru, which is a really good sign, but the viz didn't let me follow them or see what was potentially hunting them. Moved onto the ledge and took a dive about 5 meters back from the ledge. Snapper are very conscious and ultra aware, so I'm making sure that I'm being quite quiet and tucking myself low in the weed. Checking the gut, there's not a lot of activity. Lucky it has quite a white base, so I can see fish in it, and there wasn't anything, and I couldn't even see the drummer frame, so it seemed like something had taken off of it. Sometimes bigger snapper will drag the frame down, so I moved further down the ledge and re-dove it. Normally you'd have smaller snapper up higher in the water column, that sort of thing, to give you an idea of where the burley is, but there was just nothing. This whole place was pretty dead, and I made a good effort to find the frame, and I really just couldn't find it, so I think it had been eaten by a shark. I decided to trade the gun for the torch, as I was pretty disheartened with this burley being taken, and I went to try to find some crayfish. Having a dive watch that tells you your surface interval is really good. I try to at least double it or sometimes triple it, especially when I'm diving solo. It's important to know that you've rested enough. The spot has lots of overhanging rocks and cracks, so it's quite good country to find crayfish. I worked my way down another big rock and I found this smaller crayfish sitting up on the right here, but I knew he wasn't quite of size, so I wasn't even going to go try and grab him. But where there's one crayfish, there's normally more, so I'm just going to make my way down this crack towards the sand. my head into the rock there. I think my GoPro thanks me for that. But on my way up, I make sure I sort of don't waste what I'm doing. I like to have a look down and scout for other rocks on the way up, and I couldn't really find anything, so I went back to that original crayfish, and I actually found there was a couple more sitting deeper in the crack with him. But again, they were all quite small. If you know a crayfish is too small, I'm very on the side of not jamming my hand down there and breaking their feelers and legs off and stuff to check. I'm happy to just leave them. No snapper. That drone had been obviously taken off with by either a big fish or likely a shark. Went and tried to find if it had been moved off, and it was just completely gone, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, went for a look for some crayfish and found that small one that led to a couple other small ones, but I knew they definitely weren't legal, so stuck the camera in there and had a little bit of film. But kind of done now, so I'm just going to head back in. Alright mate, hey guys. He's giving us a wave, look at that. Cool. Let's head back in. Washed all the gear up, and now I'm going to fillet this fish for dinner. Butterfish, but they're also called I think blue bone or green bone, and that's why. So they just have that blue through their spine. You can also get it on their lips and through their tail as well. Pretty cool fish. Got two beautiful white butterfish fillets here, and now I'm going to just chop them up into cubes because I'm going to make some green curry out of them. And there we have our cubed up butterfish fillets ready to go in the curry. And just look at the marbling on that, just awesome. Such a nice fish. But I find it goes a little bit soft, so that's why I like it for curries, because being soft is not going to matter. There's the last of the fillets ready to go in the freezer to have in a couple of weeks. It's time to make this green curry. We had onion, potato, carrot and green beans with coconut milk and a green curry paste. A real simple, quick dinner. It was just delicious. Unfortunately, I only got photos about halfway through the meal. I was so hungry, but the fish was cooked perfectly and it was just delicious. Yeah, very rewarding little session. Being able to go out there and get the fish and then cook it up and have a meal. That's the end of this adventure, so thanks a lot for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed it.